Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So this is a virtual class for grade 11, statistics and probability. This is the first module in this quarter, which is random variable and probability distribution. So the most essential learning competencies in this module are: first, you as a student should be able to illustrate a random variable. Mapa discrete or continuous variable pa yan. You have to distinguish between a discrete and continuous random variable. Find the possible values of a random variable. Illustrate probability distribution for discrete random variable and its properties. Compute probability corresponding to a given random variable. Illustrate the mean and variance of a discrete random variable. Calculates the mean and the variance of a discrete random variable. Interprets the mean and the variance of the discrete random variable. And lastly, solve problems involving mean and variance of probability distributions. So far, medyo nakakalito siya, but later on, inshallah, it will be clear. So we have 3 lessons for this module. The first lesson is random variables and probability distribution. Let's try to have this background check first. Okay, so classify the following random variables as discrete or continuous. And I know that you don't know yet what is discrete and continuous. Now, discrete is actually something that ends, no, finite. Yun ang pinaka-meaning ng discrete. And it is countable. You can count it because it's finite, you know. Ang continuous naman, it has a range. It has a certain range. It is measurable. And it is not something that you could simply count. It has to be measured. Like, for example, the number of siblings in a family is discrete, but the level of their intelligence, their intelligent quotient, is not discrete. It's continuous. Okay? So if we are going to try to classify the given in this activity, like for example, number 1, the number of voters favoring a candidate. Well, we are counting that, right? So that is discrete. The number of accidents per year at an intersection, we are still counting that. Discrete. The amount of paint utilized in a building project now, can you count the paint? Of course not, right? You are going to measure how much or how many liters perhaps ang nagamit sa isang painting job. So that is continuous. Number 4, the number of siblings in a family of a city, again, no, it can be counted. It's discrete. The amount of sugar in a cup of coffee, we cannot count sugar. So that is continuous variable. And then the average distance that a runner can reach in an hour is an average distance. It's going to be measured. So it's continuous. The time needed to finish the test, we do not exactly count time, we measure time, so it's continuous. The number of baskets of apples harvested, this is discrete. And then the weight of a student athlete, it's going to be measured by a weighing scale, so it is continuous. And lastly, the length of fence around each housing unit is continuous because you're going to measure that as well. Now, moving on to the letter B, itong letter B na activity, let's try to answer this one first before we move on to the lesson proper. Okay, I hope you can see my screen. So guys, since I am sharing my entire screen, if you have any questions, please get my attention by turning on your microphone because I will not be seeing the chat box for a while. So let me go back to that question. What was the question? Okay, suppose 3 cellular phones are tested at random. Let D represent the defective cellular phone and N represent the non-defective phone. If we let X be the random variable representing the number of defective cellular phone, complete the table below to show the probability distribution of the random variable x. Okay, so this is still under background check, no? And then x will be the random. Ang sabi niya guys, dito sa problem is that there is going to be 3 cellular phones tested at random. So for example, we are now going to get the possible na mangyayari or matetest ng isang company ang cellular phones. Like for example, let's say, sa first test, lahat ng na-test niya ay defective phones. There's a possibility that that can happen, right? And then next naman is there must be some time that it is defective, and then may nakita na non-defective. There can also be a time na defective, non-defective, and then defective. And then merong time na non-defective ang nauna and then defective ang sumunod. There can also be a time when defective and then non-defective ang sumunod na dalawa. Or it could also be non-defective, defective, and then non-defective. Or maybe non-defective ang nauna dalawa and then defective ang last. And then there can also be a time na working lahat, no? There can be that time. So your probability now, or the random variable, the x now, is that on the first try you have defective. By the way, ang specific ito siya sa defective devices ha, itong random variable na ito. So on the first test, it might be that 3 defective cell phones are detected. And then next, we have 2. Ito, dalawa din ang letter D, so 2. Ito, dalawa din ang defective. Ito, isa na lang. Ito, isa lang din. And then ito, isa lang. And then on this part, wala. So the possible values for your x are 0, 1, 2, and 3. So that is how you will get the random variable or the possible values of the random variable x. Now it says here, show the probability distribution. Ang probability distribution ito will be denoted by probability of x. Okay, so now out of 1, 2, out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cases or 8 possible cases, merong isang time na 3 defective phones ang na-test. So that is 1 out of 8 instances. Now, itong part naman na ito, there are 3 instances na kung saan dalawang defective phone ang na-test. So that is 3 out of 8 instances. Now, the next one, meron din tayong 3 instances na kung saan isang defective phone ang ating na-test. So, we have 3 over 8. And then the last one, merong time na wala tayong na-detect na defective phone. And that is 1 out of 8 instances. Now, if you are going to add all of this, you can use your calculator or just basic fraction. Since pare-pareho naman ang denominator nitong lahat, i-add na lang natin ang mga numerator nila. So 1 plus 3, 4 plus 3, 7 plus 1, 8. So this is 8 over 8, which is actually equal to 1. So we will discuss that later. That is actually one of the property of the probability. No? It is always between 0 and 1. At pag i-add mo lahat ng ito, pag i-add mo yan siya, it will be equal to 1. Okay, so that is how you get the probability distribution of the random variable x. So background check pa lang yan sila guys. So let's try to formally define what is a random variable. So a variable, alam natin, matagal na natin ginagamit ang variable, right? The terminology of variable has been used ever since you were in grade 7, possibly grade 4, 5, and 6. Hindi lang siguro tayo nagagamit ng variable na x, y, and z, pero alam natin na merong variable, no? So ang variable actually, it's just a container. It is something that represents something else. That is why the value of a variable can change because it is just a container. Like for example, when you say x is a number, is a real number, and you know that a real number can range from negative infinity to positive infinity. Therefore, that x really can change its value. Kasi ang dami niyang option. It is from negative infinity to positive infinity, right? So actually, variable comes from the term vary, which means it differs, it changes. Yun ang ibig sabihin niya. And that's where you get the term variable. Okay? So, next we have a specific definition for random variable. So, in the module, random variable is if the value of a variable depends upon the outcome of a random experiment. Just like this example dito sa background check, di ba we were just testing 3 cellular phones at a time. So, that is a random experiment. No? Walang sinunod na order, but rather randomly, magkuha lang tayo ng 3 cellular phones at a time, and then we just test if it is defective or non-defective. So, the value of x now, this one, changes. As you can see, it can be 3, it can be 2, it can be 1, it can be 0. It changes, right? It's a variable. And it is dependent, no? It is dependent upon the outcome of this random experiment. So therefore, that is indeed a random variable. Random variables have two types. We have the discrete random variable and the continuous random variable. Now, discrete, sinabi na natin kanina, ang discrete is the value is obtained by counting, mainly by counting. Sa continuous naman, you can get the value by measuring. If it is something that cannot be counted, it is continuous. One of the differing factor between discrete and continuous mostly is that discrete is whole numbers. And then continuous can include decimal part. So yan ang mga obvious na kaibahan ng discrete at saka ng continuous random variable. Okay. So let's answer this example. Supposedly daw, the district supervisor is selecting 3 senior high school students at random to be interviewed. So let M be the male student and F be the female student, and let X be the random variable representing the number of female students selected by the district supervisor. So we are answering the example 1. So M are for the males and F are for the females, and X is random variable for female students. So the district supervisor are now getting 3 students. So there might be a time, no, na lalaki lahat ang napili niya. There might be a time as well na dalawang lalaki, isang babae, lalaki, babae, lalaki, or babae, lalaki, and then lalaki. Or maybe there can also be a time na lalaki, babae, and then babae. And then babae, babae, lalaki, or babae, lalaki, babae. No? And then, there can also be a time na babae lahat ang mapili ni superintendent. Now, your X is going to be, dito na part, walang female, right? So, 0. In this part, merong isang female. This part na isang female din. And this part, merong isang female. On this part, you have 2 females, and then 2 females. And in this part, you have 3 females. So looking at the numbers here, the possible values for your X is still 0, 1, 2, and 3. Now, how are you going to get probability distribution of X? Still out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cases. So itong 0, you have 1 out of 8 cases.
Ang 1 naman, you have 3 out of 8 cases. And then 2, you have 3 out of 8 cases. And ang 3, you have 1 out of 8 cases. In which case, if you want to look, if you want to check if tama ba itong distribution mo, you just simply add all of this and it is going to be 8 over 8, which is equal to 1, and that is correct. Okay, let's have this another example, which is consider tossing a coin 3 times. Let y be the number of heads obtained. So y is now a random variable representing the number of heads. Find the values of the random variable y. So let's have the second example. This is example number 2. So, meron tayong heads and meron tayong tails. And we are going to toss the coin 3 times, no? So, there will be a time na ang pwede mong makuha ay tails lahat. At merong ding time na pwede mong makuha ay dalawang tails and then isang heads. Or maybe tails, heads, and then tails. Or maybe heads, tail, and then tail. There can also be a time na tails and then heads and then heads. And then heads, tail, heads. Or heads, heads, and then tails. Also, there can be a time na puro heads naman ang makuha mo. Now, looking at this, you can say that your x or the values of your x are on this part, wala tayong, ang gusto nating makita ay heads, right? So at this part, wala tayong head, so 0. This one, we have 1 head. And this one, we also have 1 head. This one, another 1 head. On these 3 parts, meron tayong tig-dalawang heads. And then this part, we have 3 heads. So, again, still the possible values for your x is 0, 1, 2, and 3. And the probability distribution for this one is still 1 over 8, 3 over 8, 3 over 8, and 1 over 8, which is 8 over 8 is equals to 1. That is how you get the probability distribution. Probability distribution of a random variable tells all of its possible values along with their associated probabilities. So for example, let's say we have x is the number of tails in 2 tosses of a coin. Sabi niya, meron tayong 1 coin and we are going to toss 2 times. Ayan. So, our probability now or the instances na pwede nating makuha ang heads at saka tails ay maybe una ang nakuha mo ay dalawang tails and then maybe tails heads or heads or tails and then there is also a probability na parehong heads ang makuha mo. So dito na part ang sinasabi niya is tails. X is a random variable representing the number of tails. So your X now will be, this one you have 2 tails. This one you have 1 tail. This one another 1 tail. And this one here is 0. So your probability distribution of X will be out of 1, 2, 3, 4 cases that we have, the number of times na dalawang tails ang makuha mo ay 1 out of 4. This one, mayroong 2 out of 4 or that is equivalent to 1/2. And then the last one is 1/4. For a total of 4 over 4 or that is equal to 1. So let's have another example in getting the probability. Before we proceed on that, try muna natin magawa ng histogram. Histogram is just a chart. It's a type of a chart. It is a type of graphic representation. Just like pie charts or bar graph, okay, or line graph, okay. Histogram is just another chart or graphic representation of a certain data. So if this, no, for example, if this one, i-graph natin siya, it would look like this. So, ito guys ha, itong part na ito, itong example na ito ang i-graph ko. So, let's say you have your y and then you have your x. This is 0. Okay? And then we have ang ating x, no? Ang possible values for x is 0, 1, and 2. 1 and 2. Okay, and then we have 1/4, 2/4, at saka 1/4. So, we have 1/4 and then 2/4. So, pag 0 ang ating number of values, it will be 1/4, tama? So, dito siya na part. And then, pag 1 naman, okay, as you can see, 2/4 siya or 1/2. So, dito siya na part. And then, ang 2 naman ay 1/4 pa rin. Pangit talaga ang pagka-graph ko, guys. I'm so sorry because it is manual. Pero kung Excel ang gagamitin ninyo na pang-graph, it would look good. But this is how you create a histogram. Okay, but don't worry, we will have more examples on histogram in a bit. Like for example, if we are going to look at this, ito na part, no? Itong using the example of a family of 4 children. But before that, guys, ito, iulitin ko lang, no? Pero nasabi ko na rin kanina, the probability of each value of x is a value between 0 and 1. I have already said that earlier. The sum of the probabilities of a value is equals to 1. And in symbol, it actually looks like this. Sigma P X, which is equals to 1. Ito na yun. Oh my God, gidelete ko nga pala. Gidelete ko kanina, no? But ang ibig sabihin lang naman ng summation, guys, ito itong sigma. It's a Greek letter which is sigma. The big sigma means summation. Meaning, i-add mo siya lahat, no? And then yung P over X, P of X, you know that this is the probability distribution of X is equals to 1. As I've shown you earlier, like this one, no, ito siya, as you can see, pag i-add mo ito lahat, itong values niya, it will equal to 1. Okay? And also, again, ang value, itong 1/4, 2/4, 1/4, those values are all in between 0 to 1. Walang lalampas dyan sa 1, no? Kasi nga, pag i-add mo yan lahat, it should be equal to 1. So, kung meron ng 1 dyan dati or maglampas sa 1, it will not, the sum of those numbers will not be equal to 1. Okay? So, those are the properties of the probability distribution. Again, their values are between 0 and 1. And if you add all of them, it will be total 1. So let's try this example. Sabi niya, using the sample in a family of 4 children, construct a probability distribution for the random variable z representing the number of boys. Okay, this is an example of the 4 children. Sabi niya, no? At ang kailangan nating bilangin dito ay yung number of boys. Okay, so if you have 4 childrens, maraming instances, maraming cases, no? Maraming possibilities. The first possibility is that you will have all boys, di ba? And then the next possibility is that ang bunso ay babae. Or somewhere between here, merong babae talaga. Tama man. Yan ang mangyayari, no? Or panganay siguro ang babae. And then you will also have a time na tagdalawa-dalawa. So, dalawang lalaki, dalawang babae. Or magbago ang kanyang tawag dito, combination. It might be like this. Or it might be like that. O, BG-BG. Or GB-GB. So, girl-boy, girl-boy. No? There might also be a time na mas marami ang babae. No? So, G-G-G. Or it might be G-G-G-B. Or maybe babae, babae, lalaki, babae. Or maybe babae, lalaki, and then babae, babae. Or meron ding time na baka walang lalaki talaga. Sorry naman. No? Now, the probability of, the x now, the possible values of x, lagyan ko lahat dito, no? Kasi nga, mahaba, hindi nagkasya. So, dito na part, ilang lalaki ang meron tayo? 4, no? At itong 1, 2, 3, 4 cases, we have 3 boys. Lagay na natin kaagad, tag-3. On this part, we have
tag-dalawang lalaki. So, 1, 2, yan. At dito naman na part, tag-isang lalaki. But we have an instance na wala talagang lalaki. Now, if we are going to get the probability distribution of X in here, we have how many cases? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 instances. So, dito na part, we have merong isa out of 15 na instances na puro lalaki. So, 1 over 15. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 instances na kung saan merong tatlong lalaki. At meron tayong 5 instances out of 15 na tagdalawa lang ang lalaki. At meron tayong, sorry, nakalimutan ko lagyan dito ng PX. Okay, PX. At meron tayong time na 4 out of 15 cases na tag-isa lang ang lalaki at merong 1 out of 15 cases na walang lalaki. Too bad. So, kung i-add natin ito, 1 plus 4 is 5, 5 plus 5 is 10, 10 plus 4, 14, plus 1, 15. So, 15 over 15 is just equals to 1. So, again, no, that is this one. Summation of all the values in the probability distribution is equals to 1. And also, yung values niya is in between 0 to 1 only, which is 115, 4 over 15, 5 over 15, 4 over 15, and then 1 over 15. Now, let's try to create the histogram of this example. So, in this case, let's have the y, and then the x, and then we have 0, pero ang ano natin, ang mga possible values natin ay meron tayong 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And then we also have 1/15, 4/15, at saka 5/15. Okay? So ilagay natin yan siya dito na part. We have 1 over 15. Ano yung sunod? 4 over 15. Yun lang. Yes, okay. 4 over 15, and then we have 5 over 15. So, sa 0 daw, ano yung 0, guys? Oh, 115. Okay. So, kung 115, let's say dito na part. And then, para naman sa 1, we have 4, no? Okay, diretso natin dito. And then sa number 2, we have 5 over 15. Okay. And then we have 4 over 15 for number 3. And then we also have 1 over 15 for 4 boys. So, ganyan siya ang mangyayari dyan. Ito na ang itsura ng inyong histogram for that specific problem. Again, it doesn't look good, but kung kayo na ang maggawa, try nyo ayusin guys. Huwag kayong magtulad sa akin. Ayan. So that is how I create the histogram for that specific example. So moving on, we have here an assessment. Assessment. Anyway, any questions so far, guys? Naghinto na ang ulan. Alhamdulillah, I can hear my voice now. Any questions so far or something na hindi klaro about the random variable and the probability distribution? None so far. Okay, let's try to answer the Marhania, Amani, and sino nga ang isa pa dito? Jessa? Ay, si Yana. Okay. Yana, Marhania, and Amani. Let's try to answer the assessment. Okay, sabay-sabay nating answeran tong assessment na to. So, number 1, the speed of car. Is that discrete or continuous? Pwedeng magsagot kayo D for discrete and then C for continuous. Speed of car. Okay, Marhania, it's actually continuous because sometimes, yung speed ng car, it can be 60 miles per hour, but it can also be 60.2 miles per hour or 21.8, no? So, meron siyang decimal part. So, it is continuous. Next, the number of voters favoring a candidate. Nasabi na natin to kanina, no? This is discrete. Okay, how about number 3? The time needed to finish the test. Okay, continuous. Good job. How about the weight of newborns each year in a hospital? So you are going to measure weight. Okay? It is indeed continuous. The amount of sugar, nasabi na rin natin, it is continuous. How about the number of deaths per year attributed to lung cancer? Okay, good job. That is D, or discrete. The average amount of electricity consumed per household per month. Continuous. Good job. The number of patient arrivals per hour at a medical clinic. Siguro, kung ano, Amani, I think naisip mo na continuous siya because sometimes, no, sasabihin natin na in average, there are like 3.2 patients, sinasabi nila yun, no? But you go to the fact that yung point 2 na yun, no, it's because of the hour. Pero ang body, ang human body, is still 1. Hindi pwedeng may point 2, no? So this is still discrete. Okay, and the next, the number of dropout in a school district for a period of 10 years. That is discrete, no? Yes, because you're going to count. And then the number of female athletes, it's also discrete because you're going to count a person. Okay. Ano ito? Construct the probability distribution for the random variables described. Ooh! Ipapakita ko ang solution sa inyo nito, guys. Because this is a bit, pero you can try good, no, on your own. You can try solving this on your own. But I will leave to you number 2. But number 1, I will show you how to answer this one. So guys, I hope you have your notes with you right now para masagutan nyo na rin kaagad ito. In fairness, medyo okay yung madali-dali lang, I mean, yung mga kailangan sagutan dito sa module na to. So let's have activity. Ay, ganito pala yung color. Assessment, no? Letter B. Sorry, grabe yung pag-ano ko. Letter B, which is number 1. Ang sabi niya dito is, 2 dice are tossed. So, meron kayong dalawang dice. Let X be the the sum of 2 dice. So, yung X natin is sum of the 2 dice randomly tossed. Okay? And then, make a table of all possible values. Find the values of the random variable X. Good luck. Okay. So, magkuhan muna tayo ng possible values, no? Possible values. Pero itong possible values na ito, bago natin ito makuha, we have to have the die number 1, and then we have dice number 2. And then, there will be a lot of instances. Let's say, ang value, no? Kasi di ba ang value ng isang die, kuan siya, no? Meron siyang 6 faces, meron siyang 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no? Na faces ang isang dice. So, there is a possible na possibility na 1 ang value ng die 1 ng isang dice, and then 1 din ang nakuha mo sa second na dice. There is also a possibility na 1 and then 2, and then 1 and then 3, and then 1 and then 4, and then 1 and then 5, and 1 and 6. Okay. Now, there's also a possibility na 2 ito siya, pero ito 1. 2 and then 2, 2 and then 3, 2 and then 4, 2 and then 5, 2 and then 6. Now, there's also a possibility na 3 ito and then 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, 5, and then 3, 6. Now, there's also a possibility that 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 4, 6. Again, another possibility that it will be 5 and 1, 5 and 2, 5, 3, 5, 4, 5, 5, and then 5 and 6. And lastly, pag 6 ito, 1 ito, 6, 2, 6, 3, 6, 4, 6, 5, and 6, 6. Now, ang hinahanap natin is the possible values which are the sum of the 2 dice. So, i-add natin itong mga bagay-bagay na to. So, there will come a time na pag roll mo ng 2 dice, ang possible sum is 2. Ang possible sum is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Meron ding time na 2 plus 1 is 3, 2 plus 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then this one, it will be 3 plus 1 is 4, 3 plus 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then 4 plus 1 is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we have 5 plus 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then we have 6 plus 1 is 7, 6 plus 2, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, at most, pwede kang mag-roll ng dice at ang pinakamataas na sum ng values ng 2 dice na nakuha mo ay 12. Tama man? At ang pinaka-lowest naman na sum na pwede mong makuha, this is by the way your x, is 2. Okay, now, afterwards, we are going to solve for the probability distribution. Now, this is where it gets tricky because ilan ang possible cases natin? Bilangin natin. So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Okay. Or by the way, 6 times 6 is equals to 36. Pinahirapan ko lang sarili ko, but that's okay. So, over 36, there is one instance na 2 ang sum ng nakuha mo sa pag-roll ng dalawang dice. Tama man. Maklaro ba ito? Let me change the color. Ang 3 naman, you have how many instances? 1 and 2. Tama ba? So, you have 2 over 36. Ang 4 naman, you have 1, 2, may 4 pa ba dito sa baba? 3. Okay, 3. Wait lang. 3 over 36. Ang 5 naman, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Meron pa ba? 4. Okay, okay, okay. 4. Guys, pakitingnan kung may mali ako ha kasi minsan may hindi ako nakikita. And then we have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. Okay. 5 over 36. How about 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6. 6. Okay, so 6 over 36. Now, hindi na natin to sila ulitin kasi nga nabilang na natin sila. So, diretso tayo sa 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 5 ang 8. Saan na yung 8? Okay, 5 over 36. And then, let's have 9. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 4 over 36. And then, 10 is 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, ang 10 is 3 over 36. Then, we have 11, 1, 2, 2 over 36. And then, we have 1 over 36 na 12. So, just to make sure na tama itong pinaggagawa ko, i-add ko siya, no? So, 1 plus 2, 3. 3 plus 3 na, 3 plus 3, 6. 6 plus 4, 10. 10 plus 5, 15. Plus 6. Okay, wait lang. 21, 26, 30, 33, 35, 36. Okay, so, itong nakuha natin sa distribution is 36 over 36, which is also equals to 1. So, tama ang nakuha natin na probability distribution. So, this is how you get the probability distribution for 2 dice that are tossed randomly at ang kanilang the possible values for the sum of these 2 dice are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so yun ang ating possible values. So Rx is actually the set of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so these are the possible values of x at ito ang kanyang probability distribution. Okay, so ganun magkuha ng probability distribution, guys, and I hope that you will be able to answer number 2. Number 2 is 4 coins are tossed. So 4 coins, and then ang hahanapin mo is the number of heads that occurs. So I think you can do this one because we have already given an example earlier, and it shows ano nga yung gisyo nun? Tatlo, no? Tatlo yun na ano, na tawag dito, na coins. But this time around, it's going to be 4 coins. But I know that you can do that one. Okay, this part, I want to answer the letter C part as well para madalian na lang kayo, no, sa pagsagot nitong assessment na to. So let's answer activity 1.1 still, but letter C, and then number 1. Sabi niya, a bake shop owner determines the number of boxes of pandesal that are delivered each day. Make a histogram and answer the questions that follow. So this, given na, no? Given na ang data sa inyo, hindi niya nakukunin, gagawa lang muna kayo ng histogram. So, gawa tayo agad ng histogram. Ilagay nyo na kaagad yung X and Y ninyo dyan. And then you have 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.3, at saka 0.1. So, for your PX, you have 0.1, 0.2. Lagyan natin ng ganito para makita, no? 0.3. Yan. At ang ating number of boxes, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. Okay, so let's have 35, 36, 37, 36 yan guys, sorry. 38 and then 39. Okay, ikon lang natin dito konti. Lagyan natin dito. Okay. So sabi niya, if it is 35 boxes, the probability is 0.10 or that is like 10%. So, ganyan siya, no? Pag 36 naman, it is 0.20. So, let's have a different color. Say, ganyan siya for 36. And then, let's have 0.3 for 37. So, nagtaas dito, guys. Okay. And then, sa 38, it's also 0.3. And then, for 39, it's 0.1. So, nagbaba. Okay, so that is how you create the histogram for letter C. Yes, ano yun, ano? Amani. Go ahead. Ay, sorry. Okay. Okay, moving on. Number 2, let's answer number 2. Ay, sorry, meron pa pala itong mga ano, no? Mga ibang question. What is the probability that number of boxes are greater than 37? So, sabi niya, letter A, probability daw na ang probability distribution of X is greater, no? So, ano yun? Greater than 37. So, greater than 37. So, ang i-add mo lang ngayon is 38 probability distribution at saka 39 na probability distribution. Kasi nga, greater than 37. So, meaning that is 0.3 plus 0.3 plus 0.0, which is 0.4, no? At kung i-times mo ito by 100, kung i-times mo ito by 100, you can say, or that is 40%. Okay, so letter B, ang hinahanap naman natin is probability that deliveries will be at most. Ibig sabihin, maximum ang 36, no? So, at most 36, so meaning, it can be less than or equal to 36. So, ibig sabihin, ang i-add natin dito na probability distribution values ay ang 35 at saka 36, which is 0.1 at saka 0.2. So, 0.1 plus 0.2 is equals to 0.3, or that is 30%. Okay? Let's try answering number 2. Medyo ano, no? Medyo mahaba-haba. Okay, let's see. Number 2. So the following data show the probabilities for the number of cars sold in a given day at a car dealer store. Okay. So sabi niya, letter A, find P probability distribution of X that is greater than or less than 2. Sorry, greater than or equal to 2. Sorry. So P So, ganyan, no? So, kailangan natin itong 2 pababa. Tama man. So, 0.1 plus 0.15 plus 0.25. Pakikalkyo. Wait lang. 5 plus 5, 0. 10, carry. So, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tama ba ang na-add ko, guys? Tama ba ang pagka-add ko? Anyway, paki-check na lang kung tama ang pagka-add ko, ha? Kung mali, pakisabihan lang ako. Paki-check, guys, ha, kung tama. Okay, next. We have find P where X is greater than or equal to 7. So, P where X is greater than or equal to 7. So, ibig sabihin ang kukunin natin ay 7 hanggang 10. So, 0.05 plus 0.04 plus 0.02 plus 0.02. Ilan yun? Paki-add. 0.05 plus 0.04 plus 0.02 plus 0.02 equals 2 plus 2, 4 plus 4, 8 plus 5, 0.13. Okay, pag i-times nyo dito siya na 100, guys, you can actually say or 50%. Or ito naman, pag 101 to 13%. Okay. And ito na yung final answer nyo, guys, ha, ganyan. And then, sorry, letter B pala yun. Ito, letter C. Last but not least, letter C. Find P where X is greater than or equal to 1 and is less than or equal to 5. So, ibig sabihin from 1, ito siya na part, hanggang 5. So, 0.15 plus 0.25 plus 0.15 plus 0.08 plus 0.08. So, ano yun siya? 1, yan siya, no? 0.15 plus 0.25 plus 0.15 plus 0.08 plus 0.08 equals 8 plus 8, 16 plus 5, 21 plus 5, 26 plus 5, 31. So, merong 1, carry 3. 3 plus 1, 4 plus 2, 6 plus 5, 51. Tama ba? Parang may mali ako somewhere. Ulit. 8 plus 8, 16. Plus 5. 16 plus 5. 21 plus 5. 26 plus 5. 31. So, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pala. Kaingot ko. Okay. So, 0.71 or that is 71%. Please watch part 2 for lesson 2 and 3.